Welcome to my morning report analysis videos on Thursday the 4th of April with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Hantec Markets. We've got a fairly quiet open really, nothing really doing on markets at all. We've seen a consolidation coming through with the fact that markets have basically now priced in sort of the latest news regarding the progress that we're getting in the US trade talks with China, and they're looking for more now. You've got the talks that are ongoing, and perhaps there's a degree of sort of wait and see mode that is creeping across markets, certainly given the fact that Forex majors are basically all but flat across the board. You've also got payrolls tomorrow, so again it adds another element to the sort of caution that we've got. Now what you can see is that the dollar is basically consolidated. It had slipped back on the signs of progress in those trade negotiations, but it's just consolidated today. Yeah, there's nothing really doing in terms of market direction. Bit of a slight correction coming through on equity markets in the European session. We had the S&P 500 0.2% higher today, sort of basically slipping back and unwinding that move on the futures. So we're seeing European equities back. Asian markets were all but flat. Nothing really doing there, but a little bit of caution. I mean, we had the DAX strongly higher in the last few sessions, and a little bit of profit taking potentially coming through. So that could be where we're at with that. Now, in terms of data points today, this is another quiet day for this week. Although obviously tomorrow's got payrolls report, so more focus on that, I think. But we've got the ECB meeting accounts for the last meeting, so we're looking at looking out for how cautious the ECB is going forward, what the prospects are of sort of potentially even quantitative easing being regenerated. So sort of how the ECB is dealing with the economic slowdown that the Eurozone is facing. We've also got at 1:30 we've also got the sorry, that's not it. We've also got the weekly jobs claims, which are expected to be 216,000, which generally speaking is pretty much in line with what we've seen, which is a pretty strong and tight labour market, and still not looking at any real deterioration there in the labour market. So in terms of my charts of the day, we've had Aussie yen, which has been ranging sideways. Aussie yen, which has been ranging sideways throughout this year, pretty much, save for that big spike lower and then rebound. But pretty much since early January, Aussie yen has been stuck in this very tight 230 pip band, and it is exactly pretty much where we are at the moment. Now, yesterday we had a strong bull candle, which looked to be gaining a little bit of traction again to the upside, breaking out above 79.40, but hit the buffers around 79.45 and came back again in the last sort of day, the last sort of 24 hours. Interesting to see that there was a move on the RSI which took it to a 6-week high actually, but that again has been just sort of had its wings clipped a little bit. So there is an edge towards the top of the range, but the momentum indicators don't really look as though they're on the breakout level at the moment. You've still got the ranging below 60, between 40 and 60, pretty much on the RSI. MACD lines hovering around neutral, although slightly edging higher, but just nothing really doing in terms of how the market is going to be edging towards a breakout. You could argue yesterday's candle was a bullish engulfing, very close to it, but it still sort of suggests that the market is sort of under wraps really. Now what we've got on the hourly chart is a little mini uptrend in the last week or so, couple of weeks, whereby you've got higher lows and higher highs. So any sort of retreat back into a band of support, you could argue, which starts to come in around 79 figure, bit of a pivot there. Any support around that 79 big figure area would be I think encouraging, and that would also then be finding support above that 78.70 mid-range pivot. So there is a slight positive bias with Aussie yen at the moment, but nothing yet which suggests we're going to get a breakout. Maybe that will be when we see real progress in the in the US-China trade talks. Perhaps we'll start to see that, but at the moment just a slight hint of positivity, but nothing really doing quite yet. So I wish you good luck in trading. I'll speak to you later.